and that anyone who brings their past to their present has no future. So we need to be now, we need to be present, and we need to deal with what's happening.
Welcome to A Cup of Tea with Bree, where I get to know some of North Queensland's most amazing parents, incredible business people and inspiring characters. Now, today's guest is a passionate member of the North Queensland community and a Justice of the Peace. She is currently holding a position as the North Queensland Secretary for the United Australian Party, and she understands the needs of the community around her. So please welcome Jen Sackley. How are you, Jen?
I'm good, Bree. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to have you in for a cup of tea.
Oh,
well, coffee for you.
Lovely coffee too, actually.
Sometimes we need coffee, right?
Yeah,
Not tea.
I do.
Definitely.
I start the day with tea.
Do you?
I've always started the day with tea.
Not coffee?
No, it's never a coffee. It's always a tea first, and then I have a coffee, probably about mid-morning, and then it's a coffee through the day or something.
Wow.
But tea, I think, because I'm a country girl, so we always had a pot of tea on the table with Mum and Dad.
I love tea.
Yeah.
It's my favourite.
Absolutely. And there's such great teapots out there,
Yeah,
isn't there?
definitely.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about who you are and your life and things like that. So tell me first where you were born and a bit about your childhood.
Bree, I was born about 5 streets from where you and I are sitting.
Wow.
Well, I was born in the Cairns Base Hospital, obviously, with my mum. And I grew up, originally our family home was in Donaldson Street.
Wow.
Which is just up there off the other side of
where we
Anderson
are now.
Street. Absolutely. So this is very familiar territory for me to be sitting in.
Wow.
I've run up and down this street as a little girl, especially when it was raining, and enjoyed it and played in it. And we had lots of local shops along here where I could pick up and buy little things and get the bread for Mum and all of that.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So you're Cairns local through and through?
Yeah, I think we're 6 generations here.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is. So my great-grandfather and grandfather would have had some industry on my mum's side here around the Coranda Range and all that sort of stuff. And on my father's side, he's a Malanda boy, so originally born in Malanda, but a Tarzali family around the timber mills and the bullock teams and all of that with the Bartletts and the Sackleys until they came down here and had black and white taxis. And I think his uncles were the founding forefathers of white coaches.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a lot of
History.
connection and history to the development of this region,
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
So tell me about family life now.
Oh, family life can sometimes be a bit hectic now, especially in the middle of a campaign. But look, we have daughters, of course. I have a very strong passion about keeping my family private, only because I'm constantly in the limelight somewhere, But we do have daughters, and we have 5 fabulous, gorgeous grandchildren.
Wow! So 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren.
No, we have 3.
3 daughters.
Yeah.
Wow!
So, and our daughters are always involved in community. So the 2 eldest ones, of course, are teachers, and our grandchildren are all very sporty and involved in things from basketball to everything around to soccer and footy and swimming and all that sort of stuff.
Proud grandma.
Absolutely. And our youngest daughter is with Telstra, so she's been there a long time.
Wow. So tell me then, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A barrister.
A barrister? And?
You was a bit shocked then, weren't you, Bree?
And did you end up going into the law side of things?
I did, actually. I did study law, and I studied subjects right up to fourth year law, native title and things like that. But originally I went to university after I had done a diploma in social sciences around the issues of behavioural sciences and psychology around counselling and stuff like that. So I did a lot of training with Lifeline as a younger woman and being involved in the community around domestic violence and family violence and all those sorts of things, and campaigning and throwing myself on courthouse steps, and I was a bit of a radical like that. So I was very active politically as a young woman. And people often did come to me and sit with me and have a cup of tea like you and say, how do I deal with this? So I guess I grew up with that passion as well, driven from my parents who were very involved in community. So it's there with me. My second, of course, my degree then when I went on to university and I studied a political science majors in a social science degree, a Bachelor of Arts, of course, which is what it was called then at James Cook University. And I was the first women's officer here for James Cook University. And again, a little bit of a radical here. So, and originally the university was at the TAFE College here. So we didn't have the big campus we have today. So I've always stayed involved. From there, I went into the law faculty And then I got invited into an MBA in alternative dispute resolution, where I took my master mediators sections from that degree. I didn't complete the whole degree. The mediation was the part that interested me. And from there I went on to do a master's in social work and combine the whole lot together. So I have a very broad brush in my academic background, and I've always encouraged it. I'm a very strong, I guess, in some ways, especially as a young woman, a feminist, but I'm a strong advocate that you can't have equality until we have equity. So it's only equity that can bring equality.
So how is it being a woman in politics?
Look, I think that we have to be able to stand our ground, and we have to be able to be strong women and encourage other young women to come into this, because it's critical that women play a role politically in the democracy of our nation. And the only way for us to have an equal say about anything is to bring women into the fray. But I believe that that is up to us as women to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's up to us to fight the good fight. We're very heavily laden, I guess, with misogynistic, draconian males that are still there, and I'm not afraid to say that. Some of these guys are fabulous, some of them are not, and they need to go. I also think that some of the women who are in politics, that have been there for a long time in the major political parties, have become almost like their male counterparts and have not taken the time to really encourage women up. I don't think you can base this on this old merit argument. That's nonsense. Women have always had merit. We don't need to argue it. What we need to do is say, okay, if it's a quota, then we need to recognise that and stop saying, oh, we're just going to take girls because they're girls. That's not what we're doing. We're actually acknowledging that they have every right to be there, and we need to push that through.
Beautifully said. So what's something then that most people don't know about you, Jen?
Oh, wow, what don't people know about me?
The hidden talent.
I don't know. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm very, I was raised here as a young Catholic girl. However, I have probably over the years taken very much a spiritual connection to life more. I'm very much a part of my environment. I live very much in my gut feeling, if you like to say that, or my intuition. So while I have all this knowledge base around me, I prefer to respond based on my physical and reactions tied to my mental knowledge base, if that makes sense. So that's actually how I operate as a human. And a lot of people probably don't know that about me, They probably don't know that I'm a strong young horsewoman. I was very competitive as a young woman on my horses. I love to read. I'm very strong about my family. I'm a very open person.
Yeah,
so
when you are, it's hard to go, what is it that I've hidden from the world?
Yeah.
So tell me then, what's one of your biggest professional or personal achievements that you'd like to share?
Oh, look.
Or both.
Yeah, just to go back to university as a mature age woman and go, I need to do this master's degree. I want to do that, and I want to have a look at what, social... I'm a little bit more than my hips and thighs. We need to clear that up. And I'm a lot more than my sandals and beads when we say social work. And I don't think people understand that social workers are political activists. And we're very, very strong politically. So that was probably a great achievement for me to go back in there, because it allowed me to, again, rest my passion for politics on knowledge, and I just loved it. That the achievement I had in there with my colleagues was stimulating, challenged me. It showed me I could do it again, that I won't be unafraid with being in Parliament and standing on the floor and having to meet the challenges of the legislation. I'm comfortable in that mode.
Good for you. So what made you get into politics?
Oh, look, as a young woman, I think I've always had an interest in politics. Always. I've always watched what was going on. I've always had people come and talk to me about things. Does that make sense? So I guess it inspired me. It was almost like a coat, a natural fit for me. Do you know?
And how did you, when did you start? How did you get into politics then?
I think even as a young woman, I was very blessed to have spent the early years of my life around my teenage years with one of Australia's greatest women drovers. My parents went to the Gulf and had some work industries up there that they were involved in, and for myself, it was back to school, was Mount Isa was the closest for me. And so Edna Ziegenbein, or Edna Jessup, became like a foster mother or another mother to me. I had my horses in the yard, and I got to live and work with her every day for several years. And she influenced my life around politically, where we have to be involved in our community, as well as what I'd already seen from my parents. So if there was an issue in town, it was not unusual for the local members to come and sit at our coffee table there with her and speak to Edna about issues. And so people like Bob Catter's father would visit. People like R.M. Williams visited our house. People like Tony McGrady, who was then the Minister for Mines and Energy, would be at our door. Prior to that, he was the Mayor of Mount Isa. So all these political people became, I guess, a presence in my life, and it was a natural fit. And so they encouraged me to grow up, I guess, and grow up politically and involved in all of that in my community.
So what changes do you want to try and make in your career, like with what you're doing with this career? Because obviously it gives you a lot of, sometimes things don't happen that you want to happen, but, what are you really passionate about?
Look, I think that some of the things that we have to do and we have to recognise is that the duopoly that we've got is not going to change things. And there's too much connection between the two. And we need that third force. We need that independent voice. We need someone who is not a professional politician. So even though I've studied it and I've learned about it and I've been involved and I've been activist, I've never actually been in there, so in that sense of the word. So I'm not a professional in that sense. And so that allows me to still stay very strong and a part of the people. I'm a very strong woman.
I can feel that about you.
Yeah, and I know that I bring that, and I know that I bring an air of authority with me, and I know that I won't tolerate something that's not in the interest of the people of Leichhardt. And I communicate with the community, very regularly, and they're always connected with me either through family or friends or through business or associates. And the difference I want to bring is that I want to see the change. We haven't seen infrastructure built in this state at a major level in North Queensland in the last 60 years. So we need someone to advocate that. We need to know that it was my grandfather that built that Coranda Range, and I now want to see the new one built. And I think I bring that with me. I bring that connection, do you know what I mean, to that. I think I can do that. I believe I can do it. I'm confident I can do it. And I know that I'm strong enough and I'm educated enough to do it. And I have nothing to lose.
Good for you. So if you could have dinner with 3 people, whether past or present, who would they be and why?
Look, one of the people, and a lot of people are going to laugh about this and probably go, oh my God, why did she choose Hillary Clinton? But I like Hillary Clinton. I think she's led the world for women in politics. Margaret Thatcher
would be a second.
Absolutely. This is the lamb's wool glove. That's fitted out with a fist of steel, and I've modelled myself. I think if I have, and of course, who would be the third one for me? Well, I think it would have to be Julia Gillard. And I think that's because we need to apologise to her as a nation for allowing the draconian bullying to attack her the way that it did and send her out of politics. I don't believe she was ever given a fair ride. I believe the media spent too much time on the back of what she was wearing or how her hair was, and nobody really gave her a go. So they would be the 3 people I'd probably sit down and have dinner with.
Wow, girl power, nice dinner.
Yeah.
It would be a very interesting conversation.
Very good conversation.
Oh yeah,
I think.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting.
And of course you've got to have Annabelle Crabb in the mix.
Yeah. Love it. Always, had to put a 4th one in. I love it. Typical politician, needs to get more. It's a good skill. Anything else that you want to share?
No.
Best piece of advice you've ever been given? That's not a good question, but I like to ask.
The best piece of advice I've ever been given? Stay in the moment.
Nice.
Stay right here, right where you are. and that anyone who brings their past to their present has no future. So we need to be now, we need to be present, and we need to deal with what's happening. And have courage, you can do this. This is not about gender. You're more than your hips and thighs. Don't let anyone ever take you down that road.
Beautiful, Jen. Great piece of advice. I really love that. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing a bit of your life and your ethos with us. And it's really nice to get to know you a little bit better.
Great coffee.
Yeah, good. Love to come back. If you'd like to see more of our episodes, then please make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss out on a new episode of A Cup of Tea with Bree. See you next time.